project, I'm breaking down how human genetic adaptations actually work and why they're often misunderstood. When we talk about traits like skin color, altitude tolerance, or the ability to digest lactose as an adult, people jump into race, but biologically that doesn't hold up. What we see in humans is the result of populations adapting to different environments over long periods of time, not separate biological races. So I'm going to walk through a few examples and explain what the science actually shows and make it clear why biological anthropology treats race as a cultural idea rather than a genetic one. Biological anthropology shows that humans are overwhelmingly similar at the genetic level, but we still see visible differences, and people often assume those differences represent biological races. The reality is simpler. Humans adapt to their environments, and those adaptations show up in our bodies. Traits like skin color, body proportions, and food tolerance didn't evolve because humans split into racial categories. They evolved because the environment shaped them. Skin color is one of the clearest examples of adaptation. It's tied to UV radiation, not to biological race. Near the equator, darker skin evolved because it protects folate and DNA from intense UV exposure. Farther from the equator, lighter skin became useful because it helps produce vitamin D with limited sunlight. When you map global skin color, it forms a smooth gradient and what anthropologists call clinical variation, and gradients don't support the idea of distinct biological races. Other traits follow the same pattern. High altitude populations, like those in the Andes or the Tibetan Plateau, develop physiological changes that help them function where oxygen is thin. These include differences in oxygen use, hemoglobin levels, and sometimes chest structure. These aren't racial differences, they're environmental adaptations. Lactose tolerance is another clear example. Some human populations evolved the ability to digest milk into adulthood because their ancestors relied heavily on dairy after domesticating cattle. This mutation spread because it was useful in that environment, not because of racial categories. The sickle cell trait is similar. It didn't appear because of skin color, it appeared because it provides protection against malaria. Where malaria was common, the trait emerged. That includes parts of Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia. Again, this is geography and environment, not race. As humans migrated out of Africa and spread into different regions of the world, they encountered new climates, diets, and disease environments. Over time, these changing conditions created different selective pressures, and across generations, those pressures shaped the adaptations we see in human populations today. These changes didn't happen in isolated groups. Human populations were constantly moving, mixing, and exchanging genes. That's why there are no sharp biological boundaries between populations. And when we look directly at human DNA, the same pattern becomes even clearer. Most human genetic variation exists within populations, not between them. Two people assigned into the same racial group can be more genetically different from each other than either one is from someone in another group. Human genetics simply doesn't divide into racial categories. It maps onto migration, adaptation, and shared ancestry. That's why biological anthropology focuses on adaptation and environment instead of race. Evolution explains human differences in a way that actually matches the evidence, while racial categories don't line up with genetics or migration patterns. When we look at human diversity through the lens of evolution, everything becomes clearer. The traits we see today reflect how adaptable humans are, not separate biological groups. Understanding that helps us separate scientific reality from the cultural ideas societies built over time. In the end, human variation tells the story of one species shaped by environment, movement, and adaptation, not by biological race. Thanks for listening.